Hello and welcome to Coach's Decision, a weekly sports talk show that takes stories from the Bay Area and beyond. My name is Thomas Todd here in KSCO Studios. I'm joined on the phone by a man I did not write a joke for today, Daniel Zarchy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good. Danny and I are college buddies. I love talking to him about sports, especially with baseball season heating up. We've got a Pablo Sandoval fat story because
there's our jokes to start off.
Oh, a man who drinks Mountain Dew in the morning, Daniel Zarchy. Is that the joke you want me to make?
Well, I had a fantasy team a few years ago called Mountain Dew Cheerios. So let's start off this show with a little bit of levity after the last couple of weeks have been pretty down.
We have had a rough couple of weeks, and I like to I like to analyze the biggest stories, the most important stories. But sometimes you just want to get into the minutia of the fun stuff. You just want to hear, Warriors win another one. They picked up Varejao. The British Parliament is dissing the Washington professional football team. Those are fun stories. So we're going to do those this week.
See, when you told me a couple hours ago what we were going to talk about today, all you sent me was Jabronis Parliament. And so my first thought was that it was something to do with the word Jabronis and the funk band Parliament. And then when you told me it was actually about the Washington professional football team, I still thought it was about the funk band Parliament and the football team. And so I had absolutely no idea what to look for.
Not about the brand of cigarettes I know you're very attached to.
Maybe that's why RGIII is done there.
Well,
too many parliaments.
Let's P-funk it up. Let's kick it off. Danny, your Twitter handle @GiantsPod, mine @GiantsTodd. We're also going to be relaunching our other podcast. This is Coach's Decision, but we're going to be relaunching Giants Pod, a.k.a. Two Guys, a Glove, and a Coke Bottle after this. So if you are a Giants fan, I'm so excited. If you are a Giants fan or a baseball fan, please listen to us talk about that stuff, too. We get way more in-depth and have a lot of fun on that show. So we're going to relaunch that. All of this can be found in iTunes, as can Coach's Decision. One of our sponsors we want to throw out, Fanatics.com and FansEdge.com. They both partnered with us. If we send them traffic, they send us ad money. Basically, go to their sites. But don't go just to their sites. Go through ours, coachesdecision.ksco.com, and click on the links. It will take you to FansEdge and Fanatics.com. You can save 20, 30, even 40% on sports merchandise, NFL, NBA, MLB. You got to get geared up for the baseball season. Buy some pajamas, and by pajamas I mean a Giants shirt or an A's jersey, because it all looks like PJs to me.
Do it, and then go to the park and show your colors.
What's your Giants jersey purchase upcoming? Because you want to buy someone young.
Let's see. So if I want to buy someone who's going to be around for a while.
Contract has to be locked
still
up.
Edgy enough.
Yeah, still. Is it a B-Craw jersey?
It's probably either Crawford or Panic.
Ooh, Panic.
I'm a huge Joe Panic fan, as you know.
We are huge Joe Panic fans. Okay, well, we'll get more into that on Giants Pod. Let's jump into, some Bay Area news. I just got done watching that Warriors Heat game, and boy, Steph Curry drilled 2 clutch threes at the end of that game. Were you watching?
I get to watch these days.
Yeah. I know.
I watch the replays. I watch the replays. I read the analysis, and I listen to guys like you talk about sports. That's how I'm getting my fix of the 51-5 Warriors.
Good. Well, Curry was a nightmare for the Heat. I mean, Dwayne Wade was great in the first half. He looked like vintage Dwayne Wade, and the Heat were applying pressure and forcing some key turnovers. But Thompson and Curry just kept coming. And at the end of the game, the Warriors played 2 great defensive possessions, and Curry made a 26 and a 27-footer. And, the three-point line's about 23 and change away at the top of the key. So he's making legit 3-4 feet behind the line three-pointers in the last minute of an NBA game on the road.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. I listened to Andrew Bogut on the Bill Simmons podcast.
I listened to that today. That was great.
What a fantastic hour. I love Andrew Bogut, but just his perspective, he got to see, he was already, a little bit of a veteran in the league when Curry came in. So, he got to see the real growth. And we're in, I think, year 7 or year 8 of Curry, and he's bigger than ever, and he's still rising. I compare him to one of Zach LaVine's dunks from last year, still going up. He hasn't even gone for the finish yet. He's still rising above the rim and still going to get better.
He pulled out his chair at the rim. That's where he is now.
He's about to bring the mascot
the
out.
apex of his game.
Yeah, he's about to bring the mascot out and pull it off a hoverboard and throw it between his legs in a chair in the sky. I don't know what's going to happen with Curry's career, but I'm really glad we get to watch this many games locally, and then get to have other sports people ask us, wow, what's it like to watch the Warriors every day? What's it like to just be in that universe every day? It's great.
Curry took 29 shots tonight.
And he made almost half of them. I think he made 14 for 29.
14 for 29. Yeah, 6 of 12 from 3, 8 of 8 from the line for a total of 42 points. Clay had his own 33 points. It's phenomenal.
It's
and
absurd.
It was funny. So, some of Warriors' Twitter were laughing at some headline that said, the Heat are having their way with the Warriors, and had a clip of the Heat's 4-point lead at the half. But you just, you look at it, this team can always come back. Especially from a tiny little deficit like that, but they can just turn it on and they can keep it on. And it's like what they were talking about, what Bogut and Simmons talked about, that this is not just a jump shooting team. This is not just a gimmicky one thing team, but they can do everything well. And it all comes from their passing and their amazing, amazing passing. And, we don't want to give away too much of that interview because everybody should go listen to it. But Bogut had really good things to say about Kerr and about the environment Kerr brought with him and the culture and the emphasis on fundamentals and passing. And it was a great interview, and things couldn't be better.
Well, and that brings us to Anderson Varejao, because he was on the NBA Finals team last year. I don't believe he played in the finals with Cleveland. I think he was hurt. He's always hurt. But even when healthy, couldn't get on the court this year, so he got traded and waived by Portland and signed for the veterans minimum. Now, I'll say the caveat that he's probably not going to get any playing time once Festus Ezeli comes back, but there's a lot of questions about Ezeli's injury right now. We don't know how that knee's going to heal, and they need big man minutes. Spates isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, I love this signing for Golden State. Obviously it's a fairly low ceiling, but also a high floor move, because they really need another big man. Ideally, Varejao will never play, but we've seen Festus Ezeli's injuries in the past last much longer than we think they're going to. And so even though we think he'll be back this, by the end of the regular season, we don't really know. We don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know what kind of shape he'll be in, or if he'll really be healed, and if he'll have the mentality and the confidence and all that stuff. And so, between Bogut and Ezeli, you have two really good big men, but you also have, as our friend Grant says, that ligaments made out of graham cracker. So, you want to have another big man, and he's better than Jason Thompson.
And it gives someone for Barbosa to speak Portuguese with.
Yeah. This is another funny thing Bogut talked about in the interview. So, enough of referencing that. Everybody should just go listen to it. And
yeah.
I'll kind of laugh about this together.
One more Warriors thing. Steph Curry, pardon me. Steph Curry played Augusta National. And let me give you this foursome. Give me one. Steph Curry, Jerry West, Joe Lacob, Andre Iguodala. How much money would you have paid to caddy that game?
A lot, because I probably would have made it all back in tips, plus, 1,000% profit.
I don't know. What do you think? Iggy, a good tipper?
I'm sure Iggy's a good tipper.
Who would you have wanted to caddy for? Would it have been Curry? Because I probably would have gone with one of the execs.
Yeah, it'd probably be Steph, just so we could chat. Joe Lacob is obviously not the villain he once was seen as. Given that all his moves ended up being brilliant in hindsight, but no, Curry is Curry. He's the man.
I wouldn't want to caddy for someone my age or about thereabouts, or anyone older, or anyone younger. I'd rather be like, oh, I'm the young kid who's caddying for the legend Jerry West, and he can call me, kid or sport or slugger or whatever. I'd much rather do that. It would feel less demeaning, than to be the caddy of someone my own age. So yeah, maybe I'm thinking of Jerry West.
When you were a bat boy, did you ever? What was the closest in age of a player you met?
Boy, I probably did a couple games at 17. I did most of my bat boying at 15 and 16. I did a couple games at 17, so there were probably some 19-year-old guys on the team. But it's just such a plateau, like turning 18 or going to college or becoming a Major League Baseball player, even a minor league baseball player. It's such a plateau that they just seem so much more grown up. I think I met Jeremy Bonderman. I was 15.
Jeremy Bonderman.
I was 15. He was 19, and he seemed like a full-grown, gross adult man to me. But if I had met him when I was 19 and he was 19, he probably still would have seemed older because he was playing professional baseball, and I was, working at a movie theater and trying to wake up for my 8 a.m. chemistry classes I never went to.
Yeah. No, I mean, that would certainly be interesting. But also, I don't know anything about golf, so. I would be a terrible caddy.
Danny, you're white collar, man. You're white collar.
I would be happy if I could figure out which ones are the woods and which ones are the iron.
The woods. Oh my goodness. I can't believe they're still called woods. They haven't been made of wood in 30 years. All right.
I have golf clubs made of wood. Thank you very much. They're my dad's, and I'm pretty sure his dad's before them.
Oh my goodness. The Zarchy Family Golf Clubs. Okay. The Zarchy family quarterback is Colin Kaepernick. The Zarchy family loves Colin Kaepernick. He is going to be on the San Francisco 49ers this year. Trent Baalke came out and said he will be on the roster after April 1st, which means it guarantees his $11 and change million salary for the season. Will he start? Should he start?
Yes. Well, maybe and yes.
He should start.
Are the answers to those questions. He is, Blaine Gabbert had his moments of looking cromulent, if you will.
Cromulent? Is that actor from Babe, Pig in the City? That's right. James Cromulent.
Buster Cromulent. No, Garrett looked not terrible for periods. I'm sorry, Gabbert. But he's not good. I mean, he didn't play well. He has an extremely low ceiling, and at his very best, he was kind of a 60% Alex Smith. So why would the Niners, who actually have aspirations of being good at some point, stick with that? We saw Kaepernick play very poorly, but also it came out later that he had an arm injury for a lot of that time. So I'm happy to throw out a lot of that season and just say that it was more the product of the injury. It was the product of a terrible system, a terrible undermining system of, with a god-awful offensive line, no support staff, and inferior coaching. And instead, look at Chip Kelly, who is a terrible personnel man, but is pretty smart when it comes to picking plays and getting the most out of guys. And you can really see Kaepernick thriving in his, high octane, as long as you're a good athlete, it doesn't matter how good you are at your position type of offense.
So I think it's obviously going to be a competition going into camp, but I think that definitely hurts Blaine Gabbert because when you're in camp and you're playing against, the second unit defense or the practice squad or whatever, Kaepernick's athleticism is going to make him shine. Gabbert can make a couple of good throws, but Kaepernick has the laser arm and the legs and just all the tools. So I think if it does go to a camp battle, I think Kaepernick wins it. And they're going to give him a pretty decent sized look, probably 8 to 10 games of play before they even would make a decision to pull him. So I think Gabbert definitely stands a chance to start at some point next season, but I think it's Kaepernick's job to lose.
I mean, you say that the camp kind of shows you this side of the guys, but do you think that it doesn't necessarily translate to the regular season? Like, do you think the things that will make Kaepernick look better in camp are not actually indications that he's better than Gabbert?
Yes, I'm absolutely saying that. I think it's really, this is his make or break year because you can't make excuses about the coaching staff anymore because Chip Kelly can coach quarterbacks, Chip Kelly can coach offense. We've established that.
Sam Bradford looked really great this year.
Well, Sam Bradford is a very subpar quarterback at this point in his career. And he made some really poor decisions on the offensive line. What's an example of him coaching quarterbacks?
Actually, yeah. I mean, we have Michael Vick, who did not look good. We had that other guy who got traded, Nick Foles, who looked good for a portion of the year and then looked awful. And then if you even want to go back to college, like, anybody can make.
He recruited Mariota.
Yeah, but Mariota is a stud. How do we know that Mariota didn't make Chip Kelly, not the other way around?
Dennis Dixon. He made Dennis Dixon into a stud. Got him drafted and let him have a career.
I'm in over my head here. I shouldn't have talked about football.
That's fine. We can transition to someone who's having a very similar career path to Colin Kaepernick, and that's Robert Griffin III. His story's a little different because a lot of it is injury, which turned into ineffectiveness, and not just effectiveness turning into ineffectiveness. He is out for Washington. They have said he will not be on the roster this season. It looks like he's going to have to sign somewhere as a backup. Do you have any specific landing spots for him, and do you see a way for him to play his way into a starting job?
On Ian Rappaport on NFL.com speculated that he might end up on the Chiefs or the Eagles.
Will he only play for offensive Native American-themed teams?
Or the Cowboys. So,
the Cowboys, the Indians, the Chiefs, the team we don't say.
Yeah. It all kind of depends on the coach, right? So Rappaport's belief here is based on the fact that Andy Reid has a history of making quarterbacks look pretty good, and at the Eagles, Doug Peterson, the new coach, is one of part of the Andy Reid coaching tree, such as it is. So kind of the same philosophy there. And then Dallas would be interesting because that's kind of,
it's a Jerry Jones type move, high-profile player.
If he goes to Kansas City, he's not going to start unless Alex Smith, gets hurt, basically. And if he goes to Dallas, then he's not going to play until Tony Romo gets hurt or retires. But Philadelphia would be interesting because we have our beliefs about Sam Bradford. They don't necessarily seem to line up with the decisions of the people who are actually
employing
in the position to decide these things. Yeah. So you never know. That seems like an option that would give him the best chance of playing soon. But there's also the question of whether he actually has the physical tools to be the player he once was. I loved RG3, and he was phenomenal in his rookie season. But he played through injury. You saw him playing on that awful field, and you saw Dr. James Andrews standing on the sideline with him and looking at him and figuring out what the ligament story was, and it was all bad. It was all really bad. And another connection between the RG3 story and the Kaepernick story is how much terrible ownership played a part in kind of undermining and just destroying their short-term and long-term value. So it's really sad what's happened. I hope he regains some of those physical tools because he was a really fun player to watch, and hope that once you get out of the toxic jabroni smoke, everything is better. Everything is better on the outside.
Yeah, the 49ers management ruined Colin Kaepernick's confidence, and the Washington management ruined RG3's body, basically, I guess is what we can say to sum up here. Washington is also in the news. The Jabronis received a letter, I think the NFL received a letter from two members of British Parliament who are asking the NFL and the team in Washington to change their name because they find it offensive, like many people in the States and around the world who believe that, some terms are just outdated and offensive. But they even went on to say, hey, don't even send us this team. Like, don't even make a London game with this team in it because we find it offensive that they exist, with this name. That really backs us up. We got British Parliament on our side, Danny.
Yeah, and the Brits are the most offensive people in the world.
Yeah, but Parliament is like, Congress, but they do stuff and they talk about stuff and they get stuff done.
I believe the best analogy I heard was, or I think this is from Robert Williams live on Broadway stand-up, is Parliament is Congress with a 2-drink minimum.
And that's our show. I mean, that's what we do. We're, a normal sports talk show with, a couple of beers, not in our system, but it's in our soul. I still have beers resonating from my past that, can come out in moments like this to have these discussions with you. But I'm just so happy they did that, because they almost have no business with it, hosting, 2-3 NFL games a year, but they're getting involved because it's upsetting them, and it's upsetting a lot of people in this country too. And England, what is their native population? They just, integrated whatever native population was there, unlike what happened in America, where we wiped out most of a native population. So it says something that people from another country have a way to step back and look inward or look outward to the United States and say, hey, guys, I don't know what you're doing over there, but it's not cool to the rest of us. And I think, the rest of Western Europe could probably get on board with that.
I just want to read one portion of it. It says, it's quite clear. Well, actually, this is one of the members of Parliament.
Use your accent, Danny. Use your accent.
I will not. This is one of the members of Parliament describing afterward why they sent the letter. And she said it is, quote, quite clear that sport is a vehicle for cultural change and celebration of what's best about society rather than hate and division. That's why bringing in new racial slurs to Britain is unacceptable. This is not the way we would want Native Americans introduced to our country.
I don't think they ever wanted Native Americans introduced to their country. I don't think that's something they were ever for.
Okay, but still, it's really good. I mean, it seemed. I remember probably Simmons or somebody talking several years ago, back in RG3's rookie year, that what it would take would be some superstar player, probably their franchise quarterback, coming out and saying, this is a bad name, we need to change it.
Is Parliament that superstar player? Is Parliament the superstar?
Maybe that's it.
My quote I had, and it's just such a British quote. It's, at the minimum, send a different team to our country to represent the sport, one that does not promote a racial slur. I just love that it started with at the minimum, because no American sentence starts like that. So I just really appreciated how British that quote was.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Okay, speaking of British, we're going to go to our first ad break. You can find English-style ales, Irish beer like Guinness, and lots of other things at 99 Bottles downtown in Santa Cruz here in the Central Coast. One of the premier dining and drinking destinations in the county, in the area. A fantastic place. They have sports, they have beer, they have delicious food, they have a dog-friendly patio, a good view, and just an overall great vibe. Danny and I never got around to drinking all 99 bottles at 99 Bottles, but we got through, like a third of them?
Well, we had our favorites. We were never good at it. But if it were 99 curly fries, 99 hamburgers on the wall, we'd be there.
I had 99 curly fries, and then I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I had about 7 curly fries, because you guys don't know this about Daniel Zarchy, but he will touch your food.
I will mooch your food.
Yes, your nickname I called you in college was Mooch.
Yeah. Well, now I make a lot more money than you do, so you can mooch your food.
Whoa! Shots fired, Mr. Lawyer. I'll see you in court. Defamation of my character. I'll be your lawyer. You'll be my lawyer. Okay, that's 99 Bottles, downtown Santa Cruz on Walnut Street between Pacific and Cedar. Easy to get to. Great spot because you can walk around downtown, walk in, walk out, happy, not too light in the wallet, but definitely a little heavier in the gut. And that's what we want these days. Coming into summer, we want big guts full of beer and food. That's what I want, at least. Okay, Danny, big guts full of beer and food. Is it time to talk about Pablo Sandoval?
That was a pro level segue. That's 80 grade. So
it was an 80's good, right? That's the best.
80 is the best. It's
okay.
A 20 to 80 scale.
20 to 80 scale. Okay. Why can't they just do 0 to 100? What's wrong with baseball?
There's a really complicated explanation about standard deviations and all that, and that's where I kind of glaze over. So I don't know. All I can say is there's a reason.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this guy's an 80. Well, that's still 20 below a round number that we love. Okay. Panda is 280, maybe. That could be the joke there. But Pablo Sandoval is out of shape, because he's Pablo Sandoval. The Red Sox had asked him to lose weight. He said they never said that, but you can pull quotes from any member of Boston's front office that is highly encouraging the Panda to come into camp in shape and play better defense and he hit 240 last season, 240 with 10 home runs? That's pathetic.
Yeah, it was not good.
He got out of AT&T Park and somehow his home run production fell.
Well, that was kind of always the worry, was that the only thing that actually motivated him to stay in shape to the extent that he did was that there was a big payday coming. And then, this is all kind of was speculated at the time, but has only become, a real storyline since. And then once he gets paid, and paid very, very well, that's when, there's not really any reason for him to keep it up anymore, How
about professionalism? How about the next contract? How about not being booed? Any of these things should be motivating.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think so. One of the things that suffered the most, 245 is not great, but it's not.
Only if she's 5'10". Only when you're 5'10".
I'm talking about batting average here, Tom.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his weight. Panda's hitting his weight, but his weight and batting average are coming together in the worst possible way.
Yeah. Well, actually, that'd be the best possible way.
I'm glad he's gone. As a Giants fan, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we don't have to have this conversation. He's glad he doesn't have to have this conversation with Giants fans. But unfortunately, he learned moving to another town, another team, doesn't solve anything. Yeah,
especially Boston. No, what I was going to say is, as much as his offensive production fell last year, what fell the most was his defensive production. Defensive wins above replacement is more an art than a science and more a bad art than a good art. But it rated him as a negative 0.9, which is significantly more of a deficit than his offense made up for. So that's one of the things that he always did pretty well as a Giant is play defense. So he has a lot of he and Hanley Ramirez can't both fail their respective positions and move to first. So I wonder what's going to happen.
There's just this slog at first base as David Ortiz, Pablo Sandoval, and Hanley Ramirez all just fighting over the base.
I mean, I wonder though, if, once Big Papi retires, Hanley's, can't play outfield, Sandoval can't play third. I wonder if one of them is going to become the all-time DH.
Yeah, I mean, but that's Ortiz, That's the guy who's supposed to be DHing and going into his last season. I mean, we don't have to break down Boston's roster.
That's why after he retires.
Yeah, after he retires. Well, they're going to have to move one of those guys, but someone's going to have to eat those contracts, and it's not going to be Pablo Sandoval. Not for lack of trying.
I mean, but to go back to what you said, he's glad not to have these conversations with Giants fans anymore, but we all know that the Boston media is brutal. And Red Sox fans are demanding, to say the least. But yeah, it's been really bad, and I hope that it seems like Giants fans are split. I personally don't really care about Pablo Sandoval. I loved him, I wanted them to sign him, but at the same time, I was so he burned so many bridges with his departure that I'm over it. I don't really care. If he wants to eat his way out of professional baseball, then that's his thing.
Well, and he'll never be welcome back. That's the thing. Don't burn your bridges on the way out, because you never know when the Giants are going to be the only team calling, maybe trying to make a nostalgia signing or sell some more Panda hats or whatever they're going to be trying to do later in Panda's career. I don't think he gets that phone call now.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants love bringing their guys back, and at this point, Sandoval's lower on the list than Nick Noonan.
And Connor Gillespie. All right, one more Giants story, and then we'll just go around the rest of MLB. Barry Bonds says that God knows that he's a Hall of Famer.
He's right?
He's right? Your monotheistic deity believes that Barry Bonds belongs in the Hall of Fame?
both Barry Bonds and Yahweh in this situation are correct in their assessment of Barry Bonds' Hall of Fame case.
I just love that. It's so weird seeing Bonds in a Marlins uniform and, somewhere full-time in spring training and not be a player because, he's been around. He's been, in team-affiliated gear but never, had his own jersey. He's going to have his own spot in the dugout. He's going to have his own office probably. This is very strange that he's going to have a shop set up somewhere else, not in the Bay Area. And I think eventually the Giants need to rectify this. They can't have him off somewhere else in a different uniform. It's Barry Bonds. Barry Lamar Bonds.
Yeah, Barry's never played for a different team. Oh, wait.
But he grew up in San Mateo. He's a local guy. And his dad, was affiliated with the franchise. And he, of course, is the player. Him and Willie Mays are the all-time players for the Giants. It just sucks that he's on the Marlins. And everyone hates the Marlins.
Yeah, it's really weird because the Giants have been so public in their kind of re-acceptance of Barry, having him around. So it doesn't seem like they're worried about the stigma. So you have to wonder why he didn't sign with the Giants. But, and then you think, well, they didn't want to get rid of Bam Bam. But then also the Marlins have two hitting coaches. So Barry is one of the two. So presumably the Giants wouldn't have needed to do that. I just don't know. Maybe they don't want to shake things up. Maybe they didn't think of it. I have absolutely no idea why they.
Miami just might have Stanton, and that might appeal to Bonds. Going to coach a big slugger who profiles, a little bit differently than Bonds did, but definitely gets to work with someone who's trying to hit 50 home runs a season. There isn't really anyone on the Giants who's going out I'm going to hit 40 this year. It's not the way the roster is constructed, and not the way anyone can hit in that ballpark. So maybe he just wants to be close to Stanton and see if he can get some all-time status out of him.
Yeah, I don't. Like you said, it's weird to see him. Weird to see him in a different jersey, which kind of, as I joked about before, you also need to remember that even though we think of him as the ultimate Giants player, he played half of his career for a different team.
Don't say half. No, don't say half. 6 out of 18 seasons? What, third? We'll call it a third.
7 out of a lot of seasons.
7 out of a lot. 7 out of 20.
Out of 22. Okay, so not half. A third.
A third. We're going with the third. But
that's a lot.
The first third's always foam in the beer anyway, right?
Maybe the way you pour. But.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at it. All right, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I think there's a chance he comes back to the Giants. I think that would be nice, but it's just nice to see him back in professional baseball. And
it's funny, he's gone the opposite way of Pablo Sandoval. Barry Bonds now very trim.
Yeah, no, he looks great.
Send some tips to the Panda, Barry. What'd you do? Cycling? It was cycling, wasn't it? Okay, moving on. Jose Bautista, another slugger in the news. He just flat out told the Blue Jays what his contract was going to be. He's got one more season this year under contract. He's 36 or going to be 36. And he said, 5 years, 150, no hometown discount, no negotiating. What do you think of this style of negotiation from Joey Bats?
Well, first of all, we don't actually know if it was 150. That's what's been reported, but he denies it. Also, what's funny is what's come out later is maybe he asked for more than that, and so when he said I didn't ask for 150, what he really meant was I asked for way more than 150. We don't actually know, but I think it's fairly interesting. Bautista is one of the best hitters in baseball, and even though he's going to be 35 next year,
36.
35.
Are you sure?
His birthday is October 1990.
Frantically Googling. He'll be 36 he'll be 36 at the end of this season.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
This is his age 35 season.
Fair enough.
He was a late comer. He, like his slugger mate, Edwin Encarnacion, were both late bloomers. And so, are both kind of at an advanced age for a baseball player, but kind of have less wear on their tires than somebody their age. Would you do a 5-year deal for somebody who reliably hits 30 to 40 home runs and has an on base above 370, and is just one of the best hitters in the game on a team that relies on having the best offense in baseball, or else it will utterly fail.
When you sign a 5-year deal, you're hoping for 3 really good seasons. And I'm not sure if they get more than 2 really good seasons from Bautista. No one can say how a particular player is going to age, but the curve is pretty steep once you hit your late 30s and you talk about things like power and bat speed, bat speed is incredibly important to Bautista's game. So, yeah, it's iffy. But in the modern era of baseball, these contracts are so swollen that you can pay $30 million a season for close to elite production, and then even if it drops off, you just eat the money at the end of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're this is a highly qualified remark, but if you're ever going to invest in a 35-year-old slugger, it's Bautista, because since 2010 he's averaged 38 home runs per year, and if you prorate that to 162 games, it's 45. So that's lower because he missed a bunch of games in 2012 and 2013. But
that's another thing that doesn't age well, injuries,
Right, but 14 and 15, he played 155 and 153 games.
Okay.
So he's had very healthy, very, very productive seasons since he missed time with injury. I mean, he plays in the American League. So, even if his defense suffers or they decide it's not worth it, they can do something about it.
I think what I would do if I was Toronto is I say, okay, you told us we're not allowed to negotiate, so I'm going to negotiate with you because that's how adults operate and that's how a marketplace works. I would offer him like 4 for 125 or 4 for 130. Try to shorten that last year, but maybe give him a higher average annual value. I guess he just wants the job security, but I think a 4-year deal for a player his age is plenty.
I mean, the other aspect of this is that he says that the deal he's coming off of 6 years, $78 million, so that's $13 million a year, was a homie hookup, as they say.
So that's too bad.
So it is too bad, but it gives him at least the moral high ground to say this is what I want and this is what I deserve, and if you don't give it to me, somebody else will.
Well, what would you rather have in a contract negotiation, moral high ground or leverage? I'd rather have leverage, which is what the Blue Jays have.
If the Blue Jays do not sign Jose Bautista, and the Giants sign Jose Bautista to a 4-year, $120 million deal next year to replace Angel Pagan in left field, I will be thrilled.
Yeah, sluggers don't sign with us though. They don't want to hit over those walls.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying that if you're ever going to invest in a slugger, he's the guy. That's not as much money as it used to be, and the Blue Jays need him. There is no replacement for that. It doesn't mean they should pay whatever he asks for, but what he's asking for is not ridiculous.
Okay. Well, you're going to sit on Jose Bautista's corner. I'm also pro Bautista, but not as strongly, so we'll talk about this further when the actual negotiations happen, because they do happen, because that's how you get a contract. You don't just make a demand and then walk away if it doesn't get met right away. So good luck with that, Jose Bautista. A couple of deals did get signed by the Baltimore Orioles. They got Dexter Fowler and Yovani Gallardo. These are both players we're pretty familiar with, being National Leaguers. Fowler playing for I believe the Cubs and the Astros maybe, and definitely the Rockies coming up with them. We saw a lot of Dexter Fowler. And Yoga, I think 8 seasons in Milwaukee, we saw him pitch as a frontline pitcher for them. Does this help the Orioles get back to the postseason?
Postseason? I mean, I don't know about that.
They had that little run there for a while. Good. It was so nice to have the relevant Orioles again.
Yeah, I mean, this is a move that kind of puts them in the race for third place. I mean, I think Dexter Fowler is a better player than he gets credit for. I mean, he's kind of got an underrated all-around skill set rather than having any one particular skill, but he's a really good on-base guy. He steals some bases. He's
17
got some power.
Home runs. That's not bad for a guy who can steal bases and plays good defense.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. And he'll probably bat toward the top of the lineup, and batting ahead of Chris Davis and Adam Jones is always good. But do they really have the pieces to compete with the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox? I mean, that's just where I'm concerned. I think the Blue Jays are probably in the best position to win the division, even though everyone's already crowning the Red Sox. But I think that the Orioles are still firmly below those three teams, and this gives them a chance because you never really know what's going to happen, and sometimes teams collapse in a pile of beer and fried chicken, and sometimes teams go on really great runs, and they could now that they have these pieces.
I also just wanted to do an AL East story that wasn't about the Yankees or the Sox, so that's done.
Well, we got two. We did
it. We went a long time without mentioning the Yankees and the Sox, and we were talking about the American League East. That's fantastic. Okay, that's going to wrap up our baseball. We're going to go into our final ad break and then bring on producer Tory for her Tory Topics segment. We're going to remind you about Fanatics.com and FansEdge.com. They are our sponsors and partners in merchandising. Go and buy sports merchandising from FansEdge.com and Fanatics.com. But before you do, go to our website, coachesdecisionksco.com, and click through the link so they can send us some love when we send you their way. Look at their merchandise, 20, 30, 40% off all athletic gear, tchotchkes, anything a fan needs in their house, because you have to cover wall-to-wall with team logos, and it goes across every sport, every region. So go through our website and go to their websites and buy some good stuff. Okay, it is time to bring on a young woman that we all know as producer Tory, who now has her own theme song that I now know how to control on the board. All right, we're bringing on producer Tory Victoria Feeney right now. You're on with Thomas Todd and Daniel Zarchy, your entertainers at large.
I wish it could be heard how hard I was just shaking my head.
Why? It's a song. It's a wonderful song by a very good band with your name in it.
Thank God the Kinks weren't popular when I was in elementary school.
How old are you? Oh,
the Kinks are great.
Oh, no, the Kinks are great, but that would have made elementary school even worse.
We Are the Village Green Preservation Society, the classic.
So, Danny, you have Daniel by Elton John. You have Oh Danny Boy, which, that's nothing to hang your hat on as far as content, though. I have
the theme to Thomas the Tank Engine.
I have that stupid song from that show, Shining Time Station. I have Space Oddity, Major Tom to Ground Control. I think you have the best song.
Oh, I definitely have the best song. I'm just glad that it wasn't a thing and popular when I was in elementary school.
Oh, okay. I thought you were upset we were using it. I don't think you should be.
I just don't think I could have handled having a third thing for people to, tease me for.
What were the other things?
Feeney from Boy Meets World.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Feeney.
And Hey Victoria, What's Your Secret?
I don't know what that is.
Speaking of
what
Victoria's
is that? Oh,
Secret.
Victoria's Secret, duh. Oh, I love this story.
Yeah. Cole Hamels struck out trying to see last year's Victoria's Secret fashion show, so now he's suing the promoter over it.
Yeah, I saw this. He paid $70,000 for some VIP passes, which included a hotel room and a limo and champagne and bottle service and all this stuff.
4 days in a hotel.
Yeah, well, $70,000 better not be one night.
Victoria's Secret?
Yeah, for the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And then when he showed up, he couldn't get into any of it. Couldn't get the hotel room, couldn't get the limo, couldn't get into the fashion show. So now he's incredibly pissed off, and he wants double that back. He wants $150,000 in damages just for, the embarrassment of it all, and that he planned his whole life around this 4-day event and then didn't get to go.
Wow.
I mean, why he wanted to go? I mean, I can guess.
Boobies.
Thanks, Tory.
Just saying.
I mean, all that stuff's on the internet. I don't know.
You don't go for the Taylor Swift show.
I do. I went to the Taylor Swift show. Well,
he was going to go with his wife, so...
Yeah, it was his wife and one of their friends.
She's probably a fan. And, he probably was like, $70,000 down the pisser, oh well. And his wife said, no, you sue them. You sue them right now. And he's like, okay.
We are getting our money back.
Danny, what's the most expensive thing you've ever tried to go to?
God, let's see. Probably Oh,
You
the
go
bar
to
exam.
you go to a lot of local theater.
Law school.
Law school?
Law school cost me $148,000.
That's it? You got such a deal, Danny. You'll make it back in what, 6 months?
Let's see, how long am I going to live?
After law school, we don't know. I guess the most expensive thing I've ever gone to would have been the Taylor Swift show. I think we paid $180 per ticket or something. I don't know, Tory, what's the most expensive thing you've ever done?
Comic-Con.
How much is Comic-Con?
For me to go on my own, airfare, badge, hotel, food, cab fare, etc., it was about $2,000, including having to do costume work.
Wow. And they put you to work.
Oh, no, that was the year that I didn't work. The year that I did work, I got comped.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because, I guess I can say when I went to see the Giants-Pirates playoff game in Pittsburgh, because the problem with going to playoff games is you don't know when they're going to be, so you're always buying last-second airfare, so I dropped like $7 just on the plane ticket. The tickets were whatever, but, all in all, cost of food and beer and hanging out, it's like $1,200, so I guess that would be my most expensive venture, but worth every second, right, Danny?
I think you're the reason why they won.
I think so.
Did it right to you.
Edinson Volquez can send me a voodoo doll with my face on it or whatever he has to do to get mad at me. I don't know. Okay, Tory.
Oh, yeah. $2,000 to go to Comic-Con? Would do again. All right. So here's the other one. Kyrie leaves game due to flu-like symptoms. Turned out it was bed bugs.
Can they give you the flu?
That's a terrible story.
They can give you like itchy, unwell feelings, sores and things. Best part? Terminix wrote to Kyrie Irving offering to send a technician with the Cavs on the road every time so that they can check for bed bugs.
You know why they did that? So you would just say the word Terminix on the air in a media setting. So good job, Terminix. This is terrible. That hotel needs to class it up a little bit. It's also a haunted hotel.
I have that in here.
In Oklahoma City, which I've heard stories about from people traveling in the NBA. I think the year the Thunder were in the finals, all of NBA media had to descend on OKC, and they all heard the stories of this haunted hotel. But no, turns out it's not ghosts, it's just bugs.
Taj Gibson had a night where he was staying in there, and his bathroom door slammed shut in the middle of the night.
Danny, what are you more scared of, bed bugs or ghosts?
Bed bugs.
Bed bugs are real.
I'm afraid of bed bug specters coming back for unfinished business.
Unfinished, like biting you?
Yeah, they have not finished biting me.
Bed bugs are terrifying.
You have to burn your stuff.
Yeah, the only way to kill them is to crank up the heat way too high. You can't really effectively poison them. It takes a week to freeze them to death. It's awful. And having worked in housing law, bed bugs are not something that a tenant can get after their landlord about. I mean, to a certain extent, because they're just so hard to deal with that the law kind of takes that into account and doesn't hold landlords responsible for it. So it's awful. It's terrible. Bed bugs are the worst. Ghosts are occasionally friendly.
I guess that's true. Danny, bug law, I think that should be your corner in the Bay Area. Bay Area bug law. All right, Tory.
Working on it.
So, turns out Nick Young thought the trade deadline was on Wednesday, not Thursday.
Swaggy P!
Enters the Lakers facility on Thursday, super cheery and like, hey guys, thanks for keeping me around.
He didn't end up getting traded.
No.
This is also the same guy who shoots a three-pointer and turns around like he made it. So, not knowing whether a ball is going in, not knowing the real trading deadline. Well, I think he might have been getting confused because the NBA offseason, like that 3-day period where you can negotiate, we had that whole DeAndre Jordan episode last year on this show. That cutoff is midnight. So I think maybe he just got jumbled up with, noon versus midnight, because it was noon Eastern.
They're both 12.
Yeah, they're both 12s. I get confused.
Nobody knows which one is 12 p.m. or which one is 12
you
a.m.
set your alarm to 11:59 because you can't remember which is which.
Answer.
There's no good answer, and it's gotten to a point where it's one of those things where I know that I don't know it, so I can't remember whether I don't know it or I figured it out since. So I'm just back and forth, and I don't want to hesitate because I don't want to miss a shift.
I'm 30 years old and still can't do my left from right.
2.5 years I have worked at the company straight that I work at now, have not been late one time. Not been late one time.
Coming back from Pittsburgh.
I was late. Oh, that's the trivia. Trivia doesn't count. Trivia is an art. That's not a science.
All right. So J.J. Redick thinks DeAndre Jordan is so bad at free throws because he might actually be right-handed, not left-handed.
They do this all the time.
What?
Yeah, this happens. Guys switch. Some of these really terrible shooters are like, oh, hey, maybe I'll shoot with the other hand. The thing with basketball players is when they grow up, the first thing they teach you when you reach a certain age is to play with both hands, to jump off of both feet going to the rim, to lay the ball up with either hand, and it makes for a really good basketball player because you have more options. So some of these guys don't know what their real dominant hand is, but it only seems to be really terrible shooters who switch. Steph Curry's not going to wake up tomorrow and realize he's a lefty.
Yeah. DeAndre Jordan says he's switched before and he's still terrible.
If Steph Curry woke up tomorrow and realized he was left-handed, it better be a Princess Bride situation where he's just been messing with everyone like Inigo Montoya.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see an Inigo Montoya, Dread Pirate Roberts 3-point battle between Steph and Clay.
I want to see Steph.
He misses and says, but I know something you don't know.
Steph staring down Chris Paul in the playoffs and saying, yeah, I know something you do not know. I am not right-handed. As he shoots a left-handed 25-footer in Chris Paul's ugly mug.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Chris Paul. I kind of like you, but you're annoying sometimes.
So there was a great video earlier this week of